You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast, the hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. It's Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. As soon as you hear it, the Iron Lady sings it. The Chris Voss Show is officially up on deck. So thanks for tuning in, everyone. We certainly appreciate you guys. As always, refer the show to your family, friends, and relatives, if you would, please. Give us those 5-star reviews over there on iTunes. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, YouTube.com/Chris Voss. Subscribe to the big LinkedIn newsletter, the 130,000 LinkedIn group over there, and also Chris Voss 1 on the Tickety Talkity and Chris Voss Facebook.com. We have an amazing gentleman we're going to be talking about today who's going to inspire you, motivate you, and help you out. Chris Bradley is joining us on the show today. He is a fitness business mentor specializing in monthly recurring revenue. He even has it tattooed on him, so we're going to find out what that's all about. He's going to be joining us today to talk about what he does and how he does it and all that good stuff. Welcome to the show, Chris. How are you?
I'm amazing. I appreciate you having me. I love that intro. That's got me hyped up, that intro. So
yeah, that's what it does. It gets everybody hopping. Gets that motivation going. So give us your .com. Where can people find you on the interwebs?
Yeah, theupgradedcoach.co.uk. You can find me there if you want to get a bit more in depth after today's talk. Hopefully, I inspire some people to listen and take action. And then you can check out more information there, which will continue to help you take action and get inspired. Hopefully,
there you go. So, give us a 30,000 overview of what you do and how you do it.
So, I run a company called The Upgraded Coach. We specialize in monthly recurring revenue for personal trainers, online coaches, gym owners, specifically. And we help them stack monthly recurring revenue, which is an area that gets overlooked in this industry. You know, we're in an industry now where sales seems to be the priority for a lot of people. And whilst sales is important, I think monthly recurring revenue is the thing that gives you that stability, gives you that predictability in business to make bigger moves. So we've kind of doubled down on that, specialized on that, and that's what's allowing us to continue to grow our business. We, practice what we preach. We put all of our emphasis on monthly recurring revenue, and we teach our coaches, personal trainers, to do the exact same.
There you go. That monthly recurring revenue really makes a difference in a business model, especially for people who are coaches, because the payments just keep coming out of the month, and you can sell a package, but keeping the customer long term is really important. I mean, we've had customers that we've had for 10 plus years because of reoccurring business revenue and relationships and stuff. And, people that are comfortable with you and like doing business with you, they kind of enjoy having that sort of relationship, that they stay with you, even if they may not use you all the time. They have access to the systems. So tell us a little bit about your hero's journey. What got you down this road and in this business? How did you grow up? How did it shape you?
Yeah, so I grew up a very working class home. Just my mum that raised me, my two brothers. Don't know my dad, so she kind of raised us, gave us everything she could. Kind of sacrificed her life really to bring us up and pay for our football, or other words, soccer, training games and stuff like that. So, I was kind of growing up very appreciative of what we had. I never felt like I needed anything. Although looking back, I could kind of tell my mum was stretched, and she would get herself in debt just to have us wearing the latest jacket, the latest trainers to look good in school, because it meant a lot to us, obviously. And then just growing up, I had a whole mixture of jobs. It was one of those ones, I left school with not much really. I just wanted to play football in school. I just wanted to hang out with mates. Obviously, with my mum being solo and trying to do a million and one things, she never really pushed us to stick at school. So I left school kind of unsure what to do. And one of the common things back then was, just get an apprenticeship, just become a joiner or a plumber or, a mechanic or whatever. But it never excited me. So I just wanted to get a job and get paid money so that at that age, I just wanted money to be able to go out with my mates and things like that. So I got a job when I was 16 in a supermarket. And then, like many jobs for a lot of people, you blink and it's 5 years later and you're still in the same job. You're like, whoa, how did that happen? So it was 5 years later, and I was like, right, I really need to actually get a grip here. What's next? And I actually tried to do my personal trainer qualification with a mate at the time. And at the time, it was £3,000, so it was very expensive. It was a 6-week course. Yeah, exactly. And I never had that. But what you could do is pay it up monthly. So I thought, okay, I'll do that, pay it monthly. But we needed a guarantor for the payment, so someone to guarantee you're going to pay it back. It happened to be my mate who I was doing the course with, who was, one of those mates that tells a lot of porkies and a very unreliable mate. So he actually never came to the course.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, exactly. And I was 2 weeks in, loving it. This new career. I was learning how to be a personal trainer. And they just kept messaging saying, look, we need a guarantor for your payments. And I never had anyone in my family that could guarantee that amount of money. So I had to go back with my tail between my legs back to the supermarket, having taken 3 weeks off on holiday and 3 weeks unpaid leave. Telling everybody in the supermarket, I'm going to make it. I'll not see you guys again, that type of thing.
Really?
Not in a bad way. Not in a bad way, but it was just kind of like, Chris
had dreams.
Yeah, he had dreams. Like, Chris is doing this thing. Like, well done, you deserve it. You're young, kind of thing. And back with my tail between my legs, like couldn't continue with the course. So that probably looking back, it probably did my confidence a lot, because I then spent a number of years continuing to work in there. I've always been quite driven. So for me, I was just like, right, okay, this is the best I'm going to get here. So let's go to become a manager in here. Let's take over this place. And as I got promoted in that job, it was kind of like I realized that the face had to fit a lot. There's a lot of inner politics. Plus the fact I was just like, is this really where I want to go with this? And believe it or not, the thing that made me go, I need to change, was just being a young guy who used to go out to nightclubs to speak to girls. And the idea of telling them that I worked in a supermarket, we used to make things up. Me and my mates would be like, yeah, you be a fireman this time. You be a policeman this time, just to try and I said, I can't keep working in a supermarket. It's not cool. Which sounds crazy.
So you'd have to lie to girls.
Yeah.
Make up some fibbing to girls.
Yeah. Because it was about status, wasn't it, back then? It was about status. It's like,
it still is.
Yeah, it still is. It's like, do you drive a car? Where do you work? That's the first thing girls would ask you, is like, what do you work as?
Women want a guy who's going somewhere,
Yeah. And that was a driving force, I think, looking back. Obviously unhappiness and stuff. And then I know it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, well, it's just funny. I mean, the things a man will do for a woman, and what we do in life with our work and what we buy, and we do everything to kind of impress chicks.
Yeah. And whether you admit it or not, like, you're just getting an ego and you're not admitting it.
Yeah, there you go. What got you into fitness?
What got me into fitness was I always loved playing football. I was always kind of fit. There's a couple of guys that when you get a ball at your feet, or for your hands for basketball, whatever, when you just take to a sport. There's some people in school and stuff that just take to sport. I just took to a sport very easily. I was always kind of one of the higher in the groups, and it came to any sport we played in school. And then that carried over. I first tried the gym. I went to it and I thought, I like this. And I was kind of a bit stronger than average. And that allowed me just to kind of continue going to the gym. So went to the gym for a few years, and I'd sit in gyms looking about, and I'd see personal trainers walking about with tubs of food and, working with their joggies on and their trousers and hoodies on. And I was like, I have to wear a uniform in a supermarket, So that's them. And then I was like, I want to be a personal trainer. I think that's the thing for me. And I looked it up and I realized that the barrier of entry is really low, let's be honest. But then the difficult part is when you actually need to start a business and run it.
Yeah, the running part.
Yeah. The part that they don't realize they have to do. They thought they could just lift weights and get paid for it.
Yeah, exactly. It's a business, not just, lifting weights and helping people make them feel good.
Yeah.
So now you have a book called Fitness Business Mastery, the book every fitness coach needs to read as soon as they can qualify. February 28th, 2023. Tell us about this book and what's inside of it.
The book is really a compilation of about 8 or 9 years of what I've learned, and it's the book that I wish I had as soon as I qualified. Because when you qualify, there is not a single unit or module on business when you qualify as a personal trainer.
Mm-hmm.
So you go in there, they teach you a bunch of stuff about, the skeletal system, nutritional pyramid, stuff that you're never going to use in the real world. So when you qualify, you're ill prepared for what's to come. You love training. You love people saying, "Oh, you should train me. You look great. You're doing things really well. You know your stuff." So then you get qualified and you step out of the big bad world and you're like, "I don't actually know what to do." A client says, "Hey, can you train me?" And you go, "Yeah, sure." And they show up on the day and you're like, "What do I do? How do I send them things? How do I screen them? How do I, what do I do with these people?"
Yeah.
So really, there's a big, like 90% of coaches won't be coaching after 3 months. 3 years.
Oh, really?
90% won't be coaching after 3 years. It's just such a hard job to get into. And what's funny is the job's changed my life, but I wouldn't recommend it to a lot of people. It's crazy to say that. So for me, it was about, okay, what book did I need as soon as I walked out that door and qualified? And that's the book that I wrote, because there's nothing out there. Certainly in the modern day, there's nothing there. Everything on Amazon for fitness businesses is all, again, just talking about exercise physiology and nutrition. It's nothing about running a business. So that's why I wrote it.
There you go. There you go. So people can read your book if they want, and they can get kind of familiar. The business end of it, it's kind of funny. There's like so many people think getting in business or certain aspects are easy, and I think maybe people get into different things because they think it's a low bar. So we see a high failure rate, like in podcasts. 80% of podcasts fail by episode 7. The 20% that survive, the 80% of that 20% will fail by episode 20. And so, I meet so many people like, I'm going to do a podcast like you. And I'm like, what do you, so what's your pitch? And they'll tell me, and I'll be like, you have an episode for like an hour, maybe. Yeah. You don't have a podcast, you have an episode. And so it's a really low bar, because I guess you can go get $20 worth of equipment, and you can even talk on your phone if you want. You can get on different things. We see a high failure rate with that. You made me realize that in businesses where there's no inventory really other than sweat equity, there's a high failure rate. So like for your business, fitness is basically sweat equity. You're selling knowledge as opposed to any sort of inventoriable item other than yourself and your body, your brain. But that's interesting. There's a high failure rate in that business, and it's probably because people just can't get the business part of it down.
Yeah, that's exactly it. You're
podcasting. They just find the business part is, you got to find something to talk about.
Yeah,
and some people just aren't good at it. In fact, it's interesting how many of them keep going when they're just really bad at it. We get pitched hundreds of offers to come on the show every month, and so I see a lot of video, and I'm just like, please just quit and go get your day job. Like your sound is awful, your delivery's awful, your voice is awful. In fact, I see some people on Top Media that have awful voices, and I just want to call them and be like, can you get your voice fixed? Anyway, how do you, your big premise is focusing on what you call MRR, which is making the monthly revenue, monthly recurring revenue. And so is that the real difference that separates the people that make it on the long-term success and the high failure rate that you referenced?
Yeah, because the biggest failure rate really is not being able to get clients and keep clients. So, that volatility that leads to you running a business is enough for you to be stressed out and go, I can't do this anymore. I want a stable job. In other words, a stable income from an employer. So the reason that they're driven out the industry is, of course, there's attraction, there's a marketing that needs fixed and stuff. But what it boils down to is they aren't confident where their next income's coming from. So recurring revenue, like no income is guaranteed. Let's face it. You could have the most airtight contract in the world, but someone could cancel from their bank. They could just not pay you. But what we can do is we can at least build a business around making sure that you predictably, as close to predictable as possible, are going to get paid. And how you do that is just by prioritizing client lifetime value, prioritizing the relationship over the transaction. So as soon as the client signs up, it's like, okay, how can we create future for this client? How can we create excitement? Because at the end of the day, a client who's excited will show up and play. When they play, they get results. And that's the key, is once they get results, they're going to be with you for a long time. And I think that the way that the fitness industry is shaped up is, okay, let's get you dropping 20 pounds in, 20 weeks. And it's very front end centered. And then what happens is, even if a PT or a coach does his job or her job, it's like the client high fives him and says, thanks very much for your help. That's me, got to where I need to get to. See you later. And I'm not saying we keep clients against their will, but at the end of the day, once a client's had a physical goal or a transformation, there's still a lot more to go. And your coaching should be more comprehensive than just lose some weight and get on the scale.
Yeah.
So, so when you build your business on monthly recurring revenue, we are sales focused as well, because that's an element of it. But if you can imagine that your business is built on 90%, because you can do the numbers, like people can cancel, of course, but if you can do the numbers accurately over a period of time, then you know that you only need so much sales every month because your recurring is so strong. And then guess what? Because of that so strong, you can get actually quite aggressive with sales, or you can get aggressive with expansion, because you go, right, for the last 2 years, I can comfortably say that our retention rate is 90%. So see this member of staff that I'm looking to hire, it's not really a risk, because I've been getting recurring revenue now, and I've got a retention rate of 80% plus.
Oh, wow.
So you can make those moves a lot more comfortably. Whereas if you're sales orientated, you're thinking, okay, we need 6 sales per month. Then one, you're only focusing on, if you imagine a house, you're only focusing on the garden. There's people leaving out your back door.
People, so I love your analogy there.
Yeah, shut the back door, and then we can work on, and then cut your grass and look after the house inside. But, first things first, make your house presentable, enjoyable. Shut the back door, and then you can work on the garden. Whereas everybody's out there with the biggest sign ever in the garden saying, come on in here, this is amazing business, and I can get all these results. And there's just people leaving out the back door, and it's because today's world is teaching you how to sell and always be better at sales, and there's all these sales sharks out there, isn't there? When, predictable revenue is always the way forward for me. And I think when I did market research on personal trainers, and I think this applies to a lot of business owners, what they really want is, to buy a house, start a family, buy a bigger house, travel abroad, go on holiday without worrying. And that's where I positioned, like, okay, so what's the most stable way for you to feel safe in doing that? It's recurring revenue.
Yeah. There you go. Recurring revenue is so important. I mean, some of our favorite, we had a courier company early on. And so we, every month we'd have to, bill them and do deliveries and stuff. And that was like really our thing. And then one of the it was a great business for 13 years. It just ran itself almost. I mean, we had to do the work, but the billing and the clients just stay with you. And because we provided such a great service, few of our competitors even kind of understood the innovative sort of nature we had, and they could compete. And then we owned a mortgage company. And the thing that used to just make me mental about the mortgage company was, you do business with the client, they love you, you have great experience, you make some friends, but you don't hear from them like 2 or 3 years, because unless they're an investor, they're not going to be refinancing or buying a new home anytime soon. So about every 2 or 3, 5 years you might hear from them. And so I used to hate it, because you lose track of them. Then later you might hear they went to another company if they didn't come back to you, and they just forgot about you. Yeah. And so I'm like, God, I really love our courier business, because it's just that monthly over revenue. You can count on it. The customer's there every month. We're servicing them every day. It makes all the difference in the world. Where this other business, it's like a one-off, and I hated it, because I like building relationships with customers. I like having customers and making them happy long term. And so with certain businesses, the car business is the same way. You sell a car to somebody, you have a better chance probably of getting some return business from it sooner than a mortgage. But even then, it's still kind of a see you in a year or two. and it's hard. You know, you try and follow up with them, you try and catch them at that moment that they're going to buy again. You try and get them back, and it can be challenging, especially in today's world where they have so much media hitting them from so many different
Yeah.
sides. And one thing I see on your website is you call yourself you call these folks upgraded coaches, how to become an upgraded coach. And I
Yep.
see in the video that we have, you have the upgraded coach in LEDs there behind you. Tell us what that
Yes.
means specifically.
Yeah, so the name of the company is the Upgraded Coach, and with any name of a business, it's just a name, isn't it? It's like Starbucks. You start. What does Starbucks even mean? What does the logo mean? Is it like a mermaid or is it Statue of Liberty? Who knows what it is? But it's
Who
what it
cares?
becomes. Yeah, exactly. Who cares? It's what it becomes and the message it becomes. So when we started Upgraded Coach, it was about just okay, let's improve their business. And then it was probably about 7 months ago. I was like, right, I really took a deep dive. All the best work happens on a plane because you're not distracted. So I was sitting on a plane and I was brainstorming what's the unique selling point here, because there's other people in my space who have been doing this, 7, 8 years longer. So it was really about how can I stand out? How can we build something that people actually want and truly want? And that's where I did the brainstorming when it came to stable, money. I get versus the contrast of let's scale your business. It's like most people don't want to do that until they're at a certain point. The word scale doesn't even associate with them, especially
Yeah,
when
if
they're
you
stressed.
don't have a business model, you can't get off the ground.
Exactly.
No point. It's the scale. You got to get the widget down first.
Yeah. And I used to
Yeah.
just jump on the rest of the bandwagon of let's say scale and fast track. And it's like, no, let's set build the foundations first. And so we kind of come up with monthly recurring revenue and what we wanted to be honest, is a category king. So we want to be at the category king when it comes to people in the health and fitness space. So we help personal trainers, online coaches, and gym owners, but we want to kind of, once we've earned the right to become kings in that category, is to start look at, other kind of health club owners and other, maybe physiotherapists, maybe massage therapists and things like that to broaden the niche a little bit. So, and then it's the Upgraded Coach, and then that's when we became Kings of MRR. So our big thing is, you come to us if you want to build your monthly recurring revenue. And I go back to your point there about your example with other businesses. Like, it still baffles me when I see other businesses and they don't have a recurring element. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. The most easiest, lowest hanging fruit is the barber. Like, why is the barber not got some sort of like, recurring revenue with every customer? I know they get busy, but they're busy fools a lot of the time, aren't they?
Yeah. It's interesting to me, like half the time they don't have business cards. If I meet a good one that does a really good job, I have a cowlick on the side of my head that's takes a certain amount of cutting right. And I found one gal one time at a place that she actually meticulously takes the time every time I go to do it. But she didn't have a business card. I had to write down her name, and then I forgot it for a while, and then I kept trying to I kept calling the clips place, and I'm like, hey, who's that guy who cut my hair last time? And and so there's no, they don't have business cards for them. They don't have some sort of reoccurring thing. They just have a tickle file that says, hey, you saw Barbara on the 2nd this month. It's been a month. Do you need a haircut? Hey, there's no follow up at all for reoccurring. You make a great point. Yeah.
I mean, and think about the upsells and stuff like that as well. When you've built those relationships, like it just takes up. How, especially guys, we're very pernickety when it comes to our hair. Like you said, you've got a certain bit with your hair. There's nothing worse when you could get a haircut for 3 years off this person, and if you get a bad haircut before a big event, you're off to the next place.
Oh yeah.
Whereas if you've built a relationship up and you can speak to that person openly, like, by the way, you messed my hair up, and they go, look, really sorry, next one's on me.
Yeah. The funny thing is too is I really want to have a good job done, and I don't know what it is with these haircut people. I need to write a book, or I don't know, have a course on something that says stop asking me what clips you should use. So I don't know if you get this in the UK, but over here in America, when we go in, they kind of keep like the clippers we use or the length they cut or something like that. The number 5 or whatever that is some sort of clipper size, for cutting your hair. And I don't know what it is. Every time I go in to get my hair cut, I'm like, hey, I just want it trimmed down. And they're like, do you want a number 5? And and they're speaking to me in their business industry lingo.
Their language. Yeah.
I don't know what a number fucking 5 is. I have my hair cut a million. I don't know what a 4. I don't have any clue. Like, why are you talking to me like, that's like I don't know. Me asking people, I don't know, the technical specs of their mic when they come on the show or some shit.
Yeah.
They're just like, I don't know, it just sounds good, man. Like, what the fuck? and so, it's one of those terminology things where companies, a lot of big companies do this. They get screwed up in talking their customers through the technical aspects of their business lingo or moniker, and customers are just like, I don't know what a semiconductor is. I just want my PlayStation to work right.
Yeah.
And so I get that, but yeah, you're interested. There's a lot of industries that seem to have this failure of reoccurring revenue and thinking long term. And I know that like, for example, I think for people in the gym business, don't they have to pay like a fee or something to the gym to operate or use their space?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a few different models. You can rent a space out for a flat rate, or you can do shifts in exchange of that flat rate. So you can maybe do like 3 6-hour shifts.
Okay.
And then that way you get to take classes, so you get access to the members, help them. And so both sides are beneficial, just depending where you're at in your journey. Like if you rent for the gym, it means that they leave you alone. You can now just train your clients, but of course you don't get the access to the members. And if you do classes, that you have to do stuff for them, you're tied down. You can't make that money. However, you can access members and build up your experience and build up your clientele.
Those are important too as well. But where these people pay for to have access, you're paying like we're just using a haircut thing as an example. I'm sure there's many other businesses that are similar, but when you're paying for a booth, you want to build your business, you want to build your rep. I mean, back in the old days, I don't seem to have this with the Great Clips people. Back in the old days, I had if somebody who left a business, they would call me up at the new business. They'd take my name and number and they'd have it and they call me up. In fact, I was seeing someone, I was trying to grow out a major beard there for a while and wanted to see what I thought of it. And then I got over it. But I was going to, a beard specialist sort of barber, and, he was really smart. He took my numbers and tracked my data. And so when he moved to a new shop recently, I got a ping from him that, hey, I'm over this new shop. But yeah, a lot of people need to do that, man. I mean, you've got to think long term. You've got to hand out business cards and keep numbers and keep records. The people that I remember when I was growing up, I did the car business for a year, and I kind of sidewinded into it from car leasing, and then ended up on a showroom floor for a year. And the guy who made all the money, who was the top salesman in the office, was a guy who was 40 years old. Or he'd been doing it for 40 years, I think. He was pretty old. But he kept a tickler file of all of his clients. He had their numbers, he had their everything. And he would call them, bug them, ask them for referrals, constantly call them. He was this delightful, warm, old man. And you could tell he babied his clients everywhere he went. And so he would just have, after 40 years or 20 years or whatever it was in the business, he would just have all these people coming in and asking for him like all day long. And that was because he'd set up a reoccurring sort of thing with his clients to do the thing. So I see on your website a lot of people holding up 3X and 2X awards and stuff. Tell us about what those are and the events you're doing there.
Yeah, so we do an award event at the end of every year where we award our clients based on their performance. There's a couple of internal awards in the sense of, most contributor, because we value community. It's one of our main pillars. And we award clients who have just been really good contributors. If you're doing something really well and you share it in the community, then you get rewarded. And the main thing we do with our offer is that we guarantee to double 2x our coaches' monthly recurring revenue from when they join.
Wow.
So that's a kind of North Star to make sure we're accountable to them, to hold them to that. Not everybody's just in it to make more money, but it's certainly a metric. We're a business coaching program to do that. and there's getting time back to spend with your family, working more efficiently, all that great stuff. But at the end of the day, we need to 2x your MRR, because if you want to start a family, you need money for that stability. If you want to go on holiday, you need money. So it's like 2x, 3x, 4x, and we've given out 5x awards as well. And we do that at the end of every year.
I see a few 4x's on your Instagram feed here.
Yeah, 4x's, that's the holy grail. And then we've got a higher tier of clients as well, where they could have started with us at 2K and they're up at 20K, and let's just say I'm not going out and making 10x awards. So we've moved up to a next bracket for them, where it's just end of year total revenue for the full year, where we switch to that.
There you go. So what have we covered that we should need to talk about in talking about your business and what you do? What have we talked about?
I guess just the way we run things. Like if I think about the way we focus on monthly recurring revenue, I think anybody listening and watching this could find an element where they could plug into their business. So I think excitement is one of those ones. Like when we give our clients excitement, and it's not shiny objects, here's a new thing. It's excitement's number one, because at the end of the day, working with someone has to be fun. It has to be an element of excitement there. And I'm not saying make things up for the sake of it, but certainly read the room, read your client's struggles, read what they want, and provide that. So whether that be, client events, whether that be getting the community together on a regular basis for fun activities as well as productive activities. I think post-COVID, there's so many business owners just scared to go back down and meet their client at the level they're at. Everybody wants a scalable model these days. So for us, we're going big next year on creating client excitement and in-person events, because we surveyed them anonymously and we found that that's what they love the most. Now, I've got a place in Spain. We like to travel as well, but we planned out a full year and mapped in when we're going to see them. So, event every quarter, every 3 months, but in between that, we'll try and have a mini meetup as well. And there is no other coaching program in our space doing that. Because why? Because it hurts profitability. But again, what they're doing is they're putting transaction over relationships. So I think that could be, used in any business. Obviously, you've got your sales, your profitability, retention should be a big focus. But I would say excitement and Ascension has been a game changer for us as well. We've got clients who, first of all, they buy the book. They, just in the industry, they get the book. Chris, I'm finished the book. What will I do next? Well, I think our entry level program where you get accountability and support to implement strategies from the book, I think you should come in here. Then once you get to 10 clients or £3,000 a month, I think you should come up to our main flagship program. And it's that customer transformational journey that comes, and we talk about making more money from a client and lifetime value. You ascend them through your tiers in your program.
There you go. So it sounds like quite the onboarding process that you have, where you put people through it. Give people the final pitch out as we go out to onboard with you, how they can reach out, how they can get aware of your services and stuff.
Yeah, so the upgradedcoach.co.uk to find what we're running. We've got a massive event in January the 12th. We're looking at 200. Yeah, January the 12th. We're looking at getting 200 coaches in the one room to just get plans for 2024. One of our biggest missions this next year is to stop personal trainers and online coaches becoming NPCs, like non-player characters. I think next year with AI and stuff like that, it's the year of authenticity and just actually being a human being again, and not just saying a lot of drivel and a lot of made up stuff that you've heard. Just actually being yourself, man, and leaning into that. Because while you might not have the strategy, you might not have the business know-how, if you show up and be yourself and it works, that's a scalable model, is being yourself, because you just put more of you out there. So yeah, upgradedcoach.co.uk. You can find me on Instagram, the Coach's Mentor. And yeah, it's been a pleasure, mate.
There you go. Give me that a little bit slower if you could, because you broke a little bit in the middle of it. And give me that URL.
Yep, it's the upgradedcoach.co.uk.
Okay. The upgradedcoach.co.uk, correct?
That's the one. And then Instagram is the Coach's Mentor.
There you go. And there's a lot of testimonials on your site too, I see here.
Yes.
So there you go. People can check that out. Reach out to you and see if you're fit. So thank you very much for coming on the show. It's been really fun, exciting to talk to you, and interesting stuff. And hopefully, we give some people some motivation to get on the right track.
Love it, man. Yeah, just go and look at your business and see where you can make it recurring.
There you go. Thank you very much, Chris. And thank you. And thanks, Ernest, for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1 on the Tickety Talkety, and Chris Voss Facebook.com. Thanks for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe, and we'll see you guys next time.